happened to her?
I expect to be doing this job since baby.
Naninibago ko na you're not forward.
What happened to her was never just about tennis. It was never simply about rankings, match statistics, or scorelines printed on a tournament sheet. What unfolded around Alexandra Eala was something far larger, an emotional reckoning, a cultural moment, and a quiet revolution within Philippine tennis. This was not just the story of a young athlete stepping onto a court. This was the story of a nation holding its breath. At the Rizal Memorial, the air itself felt alive. The crowd did not merely watch. They listened, they felt, they believed. Every inhale from the stands carried anticipation. Every exhale carried hope. Alexandra Eala was no longer just a promising player or a former junior champion. She had become a symbol of resilience, of unfinished business, of a country learning to see itself on the global tennis stage. This was not the Philippine Open in name, but it felt like something even more meaningful. A WTA 125 event on home soil at a historic venue, where memories of Filipino sporting triumphs lingered in the concrete and clay. For many, this was the rebirth of belief. For Eala, it was a proving ground. Her opponent in the round of 32 was Alina Charaeva, widely known as the Russian speedster. Charaeva was not an easy draw, not a forgiving matchup. She was fast, relentless, and fearless, capable of chasing down balls most players would abandon. Her baseline speed had frustrated seeded players before, and she had no reputation for being intimidated by crowds or expectations. She played freely, dangerously, and without sentiment. Yet this match was never only about Charaeva. Hovering over the entire event was the shadow of Melbourne. The Australian Open heartbreak still echoed in the minds of fans and analysts alike. Eala had shown control, poise, and dominance early in that match. She took the first set with authority, dictating rallies and asserting her game. Then, slowly, painfully, the momentum slipped away. Fatigue crept in. The match turned. What followed was a loss that felt heavier than most, because it was not about being outplayed, but about coming so close and falling just short. After that defeat, questions emerged. Did Alexandra Eala have the mental toughness to recover from such disappointment? Could she carry the weight of expectation without cracking? Was her game strong enough, not just technically but emotionally, to withstand the pressures of professional tennis? Those questions followed her to Manila. But what many outsiders failed to understand was this: Alexandra Eala was not returning home to escape pressure. She was returning home to confront it. In Manila, you do not play only for yourself. You play for your family watching from the stands. You play for your countrymen chanting your name. You play beneath the flag, knowing that every unforced error draws a collective sigh, and every clean winner triggers an eruption that shakes the stadium walls. Home court advantage is not always comfortable. Sometimes, it is suffocating. And yet, for Eala, that pressure transformed. The Rizal Memorial crowd did not weaken her resolve, it sharpened it. The noise did not distract her, it fueled her. Every serve carried intention. Every rally carried meaning. This was not a player running from her past loss. This was a player carrying it forward, reshaping it into something useful. From the first exchanges, the match revealed itself as more than a physical contest. It was a tactical chess game. Charaeva attempted to impose speed, pulling Eala side to side, testing her legs, probing for fatigue. The Russian aimed to disrupt rhythm, to force rushed shots, to let pressure do the damage. Eala responded not with panic, but with control. Her baseline power was evident. Heavy forehands landed deep, cutting through the court like cannon fire. She did not chase Charaeva's pace, she managed it. She absorbed speed, redirected it, and dictated the weight of the ball. This was a clear evolution from the player seen in earlier seasons. The influence of her training at the Rafael Nadal Academy was unmistakable. Smarter court coverage, heavier topspin, and an improved understanding of when to press and when to reset. Observers noticed it immediately. WTA scouts watched closely. Analysts leaned forward. This was not the raw junior prodigy anymore. This was a more mature competitor, one who understood that winning at this level was not about hitting harder, but about thinking clearer. Still, doubts lingered in the background. The stamina question refused to disappear. After the marathon match in Australia, fatigue had become the invisible enemy. Could Eala sustain this level over long rallies? Could her body match her ambition? Each slide on the clay, each pivot, each extended exchange served as an answer. This was not a sprint. She was prepared for a grind. Beyond the physical, however, lay the true battleground, the mental game. World-class tennis is dominated by the mind. Talent opens the door, but belief decides who walks through it. Playing at home can paralyze some athletes, turning support into pressure too heavy to carry. Others learn to convert that pressure into oxygen, to breathe deeper when it matters most. Eala belonged to the latter. In her eyes, there was no panic, no hesitation, only focus. The kind of concentration rarely seen in someone so young. Her lowest moments were not written on the scoreboard. They were absorbed, processed, and transformed into confidence. Each point became a statement, not just to her opponent, but to herself. As the match progressed, patterns emerged. Charaeva began to show frustration. Her speed was still there, her defense still solid, but Eala's precision was breaking through the wall. Angles widened. Depth increased. The rallies shifted from reactive to assertive in Eala's favor. This was the art of resurgence. Piece by piece, Alexandra Eala was rebuilding herself from the fragments of her last defeat, forging them into a weapon no outsider could easily dismantle. And as the tension rose at the Rizal Memorial, one truth became clear. This was no longer about redemption alone. This was about identity. And the match was only just beginning. As the match moved deeper, the tension at the Rizal Memorial reached a level that could almost be touched. This was no longer just a round of 32 encounter on a WTA 125 schedule. It had evolved into a referendum on belief. Belief in preparation, belief in resilience, and belief that a Filipino athlete could stand toe-to-toe with the world and refuse to yield. Alina Charaeva entered the latter stages with nothing to lose. In many ways, that made her dangerous. She embraced the role of disruptor, continuing to take the ball early, stretching rallies, and daring Alexandra Eala to relive the fatigue that haunted her in Melbourne. Every extended point was a test, not just of legs, but of memory. Tennis has a cruel way of reminding players of their past failures at the most inconvenient moments. But this time, the past did not dictate the present. Eala's movement told a different story. Her footwork remained sharp, her recovery steps precise. Where exhaustion once crept in silently, discipline now stood guard. She conserved energy when needed, shortened points intelligently, and resisted the temptation to overhit. This was not desperation tennis. This was controlled aggression. Charaeva attempted to pull her wide, attacking the forehand corner repeatedly, hoping to expose even the slightest drop in intensity. Instead, Eala responded with variation. She mixed height and depth, added heavier topspin to push her opponent back, then flattened the ball when openings appeared. The court began to feel smaller for the Russian, not because she slowed down, but because the angles narrowed under relentless pressure. The crowd sensed the shift. Every clean winner drew a roar that rolled across the stadium like a wave. Yet Eala did not play to the noise. She acknowledged it, absorbed it, and returned to her routine. Bounce. Breathe. Strike. This rhythm became her anchor. Where others might rush under such support, she slowed herself down. That composure frustrated Charaeva more than any powerful shot. Errors began to creep into the Russians' game, not reckless mistakes, but forced ones. Balls that once came back safely now landed inches long. Defensive retrieves turned into short replies, punished without hesitation. The psychological balance tilted. Charaeva was still running, still fighting, but she was reacting now. Eala was dictating. What made this performance resonate was not dominance alone, but context. This was a player carrying the expectations of a nation without collapsing under them. Every Filipino watching understood the weight she carried. This was not just her career unfolding point by point. It was a statement that Philippine tennis belonged in serious conversations. That it deserved scouting reports, respect, and recognition. Social media reflected it instantly. Clips circulated, commentary intensified, and disbelief turned into conviction. This was no fluke. This was progression made visible. As the decisive moments approached, the question shifted. It was no longer whether Eala could win this match. It was what this win would represent. Charaeva made one final push, raising her intensity, pressing the return games, forcing longer exchanges. For a brief moment, the tension spiked again. But Eala answered not with force, but with clarity. She trusted her patterns. She trusted her conditioning. Most importantly, she trusted herself. When the final points unfolded, there was no dramatic collapse, no hesitation. The ball left her strings with purpose, landing deep, clean, final. The match ended not in chaos, but in certainty. The Rizal Memorial erupted. This was more than a victory. It was a declaration. From Melbourne to Manila, from heartbreak to belief, Alexandra Eala had completed a visible arc of growth. She had not erased her past loss, she had used it. Every doubt had been processed into discipline. Every question answered with execution. For the WTA radar, this match sent a clear signal. There was a player emerging from the Philippines who could handle pace, pressure, and expectation. A player whose game was evolving beyond promise into substance. For the Filipino people, it was something even deeper. It was proof that falling does not define you. Rising does. And as Alexandra Eala walked off the court, the message was unmistakable. This was not the end of the story. This was the beginning of something far bigger.